Wish it could be under better circumstances, but as you know, this is a very somber day for a lot of people, and a lot of people who, quite frankly, don't really have a lot that they can do regarding this circumstance. We already saw, as soon as the Supreme Court brought down the hammer, Missouri has already solidified their position to make sure that Roe v. Wade no longer exists. Obviously, we know that a lot of the Democratic-controlled states. Heard that Illinois is one in particular that's already looking to codify Roe v. Wade at the state level. If you were in the position of, let's say, President Biden right now, how would you be addressing the nation, and what would be your first course of action to try to deal with this horrific situation?
Well, as he said in his speech today, he can't do anything via executive order. But the Democrats right now should be talking about ending the filibuster. That's certainly what the Republicans would be doing if something like this was on the other foot. The Democrats, as we know, have had years that they could have codified this. Obama had said that he was going to. Democrats have been receiving fundraising letters for years saying that we had to send money to the Democrats because, after all, Roe v. Wade could be on the chopping block. The response of Democrats today on a federal level has certainly been disappointing. The president is stunned. He's sad. I appreciate that. He gave us a history lesson, which was probably good for some people. But other than on the state level, like you were saying, Letitia James came out very strongly in New York. Some of the Democratic governors, like Newsom, like Pritzker, are going to do what they can. I think one of the ways that this is a political awakening for people is that we do recognize on a day like today the importance of our state elections and state legislatures. And too many people, particularly on the left, Peter, have been always very concentrated on presidential elections, less so on the midterms, and almost treating state elections like they're an afterthought. Well, it's very clear now that the state election should never be seen as an afterthought. I thought that the House Democrats standing on the steps of the Capitol singing "God Bless America" couldn't be more tone deaf. I thought that Nancy Pelosi reading us a poem, if anything she was going to read us, I wish it would have been her resignation letter. So where we are now, as you were saying before, it's a very somber day. And I think that there are two definite categories of conversation here. One is what needs to be done. And that's what we should be hearing about from the Democratic leadership, is what needs to be done. I think for us as citizens, this is profound on a psychological and emotional level. I think people, you were mentioning before how I was very young. I was a little girl, really, but I do remember that it being a big deal. I have been saying to young women particularly, and this is true of many people my age, you guys don't know. I remember in the 2016 election, a woman who was going to vote third party saying to me, "You can't make me vote my fear, Marianne." And I remember my response to her was, in this case, I wish you would. People couldn't imagine that this day would happen. And Peter, and I think you and I have had a conversation about this before, what this is going to do, the changes in this society. First of all, we've already talked about, a woman's choice of what to do with her body. This is about a woman's choice of what to do with the next 18 years of her life. This is about a woman's agency to make decisions about her entire life. And this is going to change a lot of the vectors and the cultural, the sexual issues in the United States, for men as well as women. Young men as well as young women have no idea. Men of any age have no idea. This will change everything that's really at stake when you sexually encounter someone. So this is going to have very dangerous consequences. It's going to have horrifying consequences to women who, as we know, will be having unsafe abortions. The limitation of a woman's rights, not only to her body, but really, as I said, to empowerment and agency in her life. But I just want to complete that by saying, I think there will be some good things from this too. As is often true, there's a line in the Bible, I can't remember what it is, something about what man intends for evil, God intends for good. That there's an awakening that will come from this. And I think there's an awakening going on today not only because the will of the majority of Americans was overturned today, not just a law, but also because people realize, women particularly realize, the government is not protecting your rights, and we're going to have to stand up and empower ourselves politically in a whole new way and on a whole new level. And I think that we will.
We're speaking with Marianne Williamson. One of the things that I saw today, which I thought was very telling, is you have what is considered, I guess, like the outlier senators, Joe Manchin, Susan Collins, and I believe Lisa Murkowski, coming out and saying that there is a legal contention here regarding particularly Justices Kavanaugh and Barrett, who during their confirmation hearings declared that Roe is settled law. And of course, they went back on that, basically saying, you know, we were not going to confirm them had they said that they would look to overturn Roe v. Wade. Well, if that is the case, and there is legal standing, I mean, again, they're not going to get impeached. We know that. But there is legal standing to move forward with that effort if that is something that people want to do. My question is, if you can temporarily eliminate the filibuster and codify Roe v. Wade right now with these senators coming over and providing at least a 51 vote that will say we will codify Roe v. Wade and that's that, I would think that that would be an angle that should be pushed right now. What do you think?
Well, I think that's what Biden should have been talking about in his speech. That's what Nancy Pelosi should be talking about. That's what Chuck Schumer should be talking about. Biden shouldn't just be saying how stunned he is and giving his history a lesson. Nancy shouldn't just be reading a poem. They should be having with the American people the exact conversation that you just said. And instead, what are they telling us? They're telling us to make sure that we vote in November because that this is on the ballot in November. You know, Peter, maybe you did too. I don't know. I got one of those texts, one of those fundraising texts from Nancy, like an hour after it happened. Excuse me, she almost single-handedly elected Henry Cuellar against Jessica Cisneros, and he's the last pro-choice Democrat. There's no moral authority there. If the Democrats do not show up on this, I think this will mark the end of serious political power for the Democratic Party for years to come.
And I think that they're in a very dangerous spot right now, and I think we talked about this a number of months ago. They really are disconnected from reality. It's not like the November election. Yeah, the November election is not like it's like, 2 or 3 weeks from now. It's 4 months from now. It's like it's not around the corner. There is a lot that can transpire over the next several months, and you've already got Mr. I shouldn't even be on the Supreme Court anymore anyway, Justice Thomas coming out saying, well, now we have to look into other things like contraception and gay marriage. And it's like, if you think they're going to stop now, they're not stopping. They're going to try to go for the home run and then some.
I couldn't agree with you more. And that is what Biden should have been saying in his speech. He's like this. Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.